I started the year with a really simple goal, and that was to finally learn how to code. You might be listening to this and wondering or assuming that I already had that expertise, but I don't. I didn't. I've always been somewhat of a hack. I'm been using the same skills I learned in eighth grade all the way through up until now. In fact, my first website, think my freshman year of high school, there's a page on there where I break down the difference between learning HTML and CSS from scratch or using a website builder, which at the time I think I was referencing Microsoft Front Page. Um, so anyway, fast forward, occasionally, every so often, I would sign up for a coding class or course, and I would get to the second or third lesson, and I would just lose interest. And this has happened numerous times over the years. It would be partly losing interest, or running into something that I just can't troubleshoot, can't find like an answer to, and without having someone to ask, then I just give up. I've given up, right? So my last conclusion was maybe I need like a tutor or like a coding tutor, like someone who I can say, hey, this is what I want to make. And they already know how to make that thing. And so they can kind of guide me through the process. Well, I never got around to finding that coding tutor. If they exist, I'd probably still hire them. um, but I did get around to using ChatGPT around the same time at the beginning of the year. And I realized, oh, this could be my coding tutor. This is what I can go to now if I run into, a problem setting up the environment or trying to debug something. Now I have an immediate go-to source, and the source isn't perfect. In fact, uh, in order for me to get the best result, I have to figure out how to frame my question and how to uh, deliver my prompt. And so that's what I've been up to for the past few months is learning, teaching myself how to code with the assistance of ChatGPT, but not really. Honestly, I wouldn't even say I've been teaching myself to code. I've been um, using it as an assistant to build whatever I need that requires code. And so that process has been really, really invigorating because for a long time I've been dependent, and I've felt kind of crippled or felt kind of I don't want to choose the right word, uh, unable to execute on ideas, and I think that is a could potentially be a disability depending on how you think about it. Um, so as my personal goal is to be able to execute on my ideas, and so now being able to do that has been really fun. So what have I been working on? Well, a few different projects, and over the next few weeks I'm going to start unpacking some of these things and refining and developing them more. But one of the things I'm most excited about right now is SQSP Guru, Squarespace Guru. It's a GPT assisted search bot that allows you to find answers to Squarespace questions pretty quickly. And so when I first started using ChatGPT, one of the questions that came to my mind was like, "Well, how can I use this on my own documents or my own knowledge base? Or how can I use this to help with customer support, or to create like a CRM where I don't have to depend on some of these other tools?" And so that sent me down a rabbit hole of learning the OpenAI API as well as some other tools that I've used to both create the index for Squarespace Guru and the um, I guess the chat interface on top of it, as well as the logic behind it. And so it's funny because as I've reached at like this phase of the MVP and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is so simple. Someone who knows what they're doing, they can, they can knock this out in, an hour. But it's taken me like 2 months. But those 2 months have been, immersed in a language that I was previously intimidated by. And now that I'm less intimidated by the language, it's much more I feel much more optimistic about my own personal future. Someone emailed me about Guru asking how it learns or if it learns, because they have mixed feelings about AI, and I have mixed feelings as well about it. And Guru doesn't necessarily learn at the moment directly. However, I learn, and as a result, because this is an augmented extension of my core functions or a function of my own. As I learn, Guru learns and gets better as well. So what do I mean by that? Simple things like, as I learn to or as I learn how people are interacting with Guru and the types of outputs it's given, I can then better refine the system prompt behind Guru, which is like really fun to play with. If you haven't messed around with the GPT-4 playground, it's really great. I use it in parallel with ChatGPT, depending on what I'm trying to do. But I found it to be very useful for using it as a coding assistant, because you can use the system template or the system prompt to give your chatbot a persona of some sort, or give it a objective or a task or context or pre-knowing, and then you can even feed some examples of how you want it to interact with you, and then it just goes to town. But my as far as like my mixed feelings about AI as a whole, working with it reminds me a lot like working with my children, and the same way uh these large language models have acquired language. It's the same way, watching my 2 or 3-year-old acquire language, and then the emergent intelligence that comes as a result of that. So the way I see it is, yeah, I want to interact with AI as much as possible, because ultimately, we're going to have the ability to develop um, our own uh, general or artificial. I think they call it artificial general intelligence, is like basically your own personal assistant, but catered to you. And so learning how it learns, and then realize, no, it's not much different than how a child learns. I just need to create the environment or feed it the right inputs, or feed it the right data, and it will assume the form that naturally would arise from something that has consumed that data. And so I think that that's the difference between even some of the other chat uh, chat AIs out right now is it's all about like the data that it was trained on. And so yeah, Squarespace Guru isn't necessarily trained on any Squarespace data, because I tried doing some fine tuning. I did some fine tuning experiments, and as a part of a long list of experiments I've been running over the past couple months, and I didn't get good results. But I'll probably get back around to that. And I'm at a place now where I'm like, whoa, there's a lot that I need to attend to, and so I'm eventually going to need to build out a team of some sort around a lot of the stuff that I'm working on. So yeah, that's Squarespace Guru, which is just one project I've been really passionate about. But then along the way, I've been uh, knocking out a few smaller projects. One, the Pinterest catalog converter. So if you want your Squarespace products to be synced with your Pinterest catalog so that you can be a Pinterest certified merchant, then you need to basically do a bunch of massaging on uh, your product export before you can import it into uh, Pinterest. But anyway, there's a converter that I made that can do that for you. I probably need to uh, check on it and make sure it's functioning well, as I mentioned it here. Um, what else? A few other things too. Oh, squared. What is it called? Square Genie. There's so many Square and SQSP things in my head. um, but yeah, Square Genie, which is a Chrome extension that I made a few weeks ago because I always wanted to make a Chrome extension. So I said, Let's finally let's do it." So it doesn't actually do much other than serve as a personal MVP for a Chrome extension, but it does download your automatically downloads your sitemap if you want as a CSV from your homepage. And I've got a few other things I have to add to it that are kind of just sitting on my hard drive. I haven't had the time. But it's just another simple utility, not as robust as the Square websites extension, which I definitely recommend for moving content around different sites. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. If you're not familiar with that extension, it is definitely a must-have for any Squarespace designer as well. Um, and as I mentioned, that there's another extension I have on my browser that I'm curious about. I haven't gotten too far with it, but it's called the SQSP Ninja Kit. Um, if anyone knows anything about that, let me know because I'm really curious about it. It looks like it's got some cool stuff. But anyway, that's what I've been up to for the past few months. Um, oh yeah, and then we've got the My Squarespace template, which it's funny. Yesterday I had someone hit me up um, about that. They were like, "Yo, this is exactly what I've been looking for." And it turns out that this individual, I knew that individual in a past life back on MySpace, and creating this template kind of opened up a portal for them to show up again in my life, which is funny to me. So anyway, the My Squarespace template was me diving back into developer mode on the 7.0 platform and using it to make a MySpace themed Squarespace template, hence the title My Square dot space. You can check out the site. That was a fun project to work on. I, yeah, I did a workshop on it too, where if you want to learn how to do the same thing, or if you just want a refresher on the 7.0 developer platform, it's definitely worth it. Um, and my takeaway from that was, oh yeah, this developer platform is great. It's been great. Why have we why have we warned people or told people you don't need to use it? And while it's true in most cases you don't need to use it, 99% of the time it's not needed. But for unique or really niche projects like this one, for example, or anything that requires a particular structure and particular types of content collections, and then I think it's amazing. In fact, I've been thinking about it for squarespacethemes.com because there are multiple different types of collections, custom collections that we can create to kind of make certain things easier on the content input side, which technically I can't accomplish with 7.1. So it's like if I were to, you know, if there was a fork in the road for my functional needs, 7.0 developer platform is actually a level up versus 7.1 for me. Now I'm sure I'm in the minority. I'm in that 0.01%, but it's good to be aware of when you are in that small percent that there are potentially better solutions for you in places that people don't pay attention to. So anyway, that's all I got for this episode. Hopefully you found it engaging, informative, interesting, enlightening, insightful, all of the above. And I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.